Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert. I'm Joe Taylor. This morning, another in the ongoing series of programs presented by the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning. The program, through the Northwest Institute of Research, oversees a grant from the Office of Child Development and Early Learning at the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services and the Department of Education. The goal of the program is to improve the outcomes for young children as they prepare for school. John Poza is a community partner specialist for the program, and he's here with us throughout the entire series. Good morning, John, and who do we have this morning as a guest?
Well, this morning, Joe, we have actually a coworker of mine. It's Lydia Cerroni. Lydia is the infant-toddler specialist for the Northwest Regional Key. Lydia is a skilled person in the early childhood field. She has a BS in Child Development from the University of Pittsburgh, Master's in Special Education from Mercyhurst in Erie, certifications in elementary and special education. She's been an administrator and a principal in both parochial and public school settings. And actually the program that Lydia is involved with, the Infant-Toddler Initiative through Pennsylvania, actually rather than me talk about it, I'll just welcome Lydia to the show and ask her to explain a little bit about what the Infant-Toddler Initiative is all about. Welcome, Lydia.
Yes, John. Sure. I get to go into infant-toddler rooms and play with children and talk to their caregivers. And my goal when I go in there is to support them in providing the best environment. And so when I was talking to John about what I would speak about today, I wanted to be sure to spend some time talking about the infant-toddler environment and the complexity of that. That infant-toddler environment is a very busy place, and the more work that's done to support the children in the actual space, the easier it is for the adults. And we really want to look at that pretty carefully. And then we want to also look at how the adults use that environment. So those are the things that I'm working with every day when I go into these programs, and helping the caregivers see the perspective of the child, helping the adults in the room feel more comfortable with and seeing how they can make the room be more comfortable for everyone that's in it.
Of course, Lydia, you had mentioned one of the things that you were going to address in our interview is how the environment is, as you look at it, is actually the textbook in a child care setting. That's sort of the way you look at it, correct?
That is exactly what we have, and that's something that has been studied. There's a lot of science behind it. I was also trained in Montessori, which if you've ever gone into a Montessori classroom, you'll see that they are very particular about the materials in Montessori, because that is the way that children learn is through their exploration. So we really want to provide rich experiences, and the adult facilitates that. So, that's a really important tool, much like a textbook typically is in a elementary or high school setting. You need those tools to be the best that they can be. And we have a lot of understanding of what are the best things that should go into the classroom. And we also have an understanding of how the room itself, I really think that if you don't pick a room, if you're just saying, okay, an infant can go in any room, and if you're not looking at how that climate is developed within the room, and by that I mean not just the walls, but even the lighting and all of the ways that the different textures that they experience them when they crawl on the floor, because that's the feedback that they get. Typically, again, with a textbook, you'd read it and you'd study it, and then you'd get some interaction. Well, children actually just interact with their environment. They fall on the floor. They feel the floor. It's hard. They will they'll push on something like a ball and it'll move, or they'll push a hard object like a rock and it won't move, or they'll push a toddler and the toddler will push back. So that's kind of, that's the learning experience, and it's so rich because you have to think about how they've not had any, this is the first thing that they're learning about. This is the first thing, in their experiences that show them how what they do will create a reaction.
I remember.
It's very exciting. Yeah.
I remember, in kindergarten, when they had mats and you would just lie down on the floor. And, I remember like staring up at the same, nobody ever took a nap during nap time, and just staring up at,
Yeah.
at the ceiling and looking at the, the design of the light fixture and whatever. So I was learning then? That was part of my education, right?
Absolutely. And we want that to be the best it can be. We want to expose children to variations, but we also want it to be very comfortable for them. So, when you go into a room and there's no windows, that closed-in feel that you get, even adults want, the corner office with the windows. Well, we want that for our infants and toddlers too. Natural light with a combination of, of good lighting. We don't like fluorescent lighting too much. Things that really create that warmth, and frankly, even the temperature of the room is really important. We want them to be cozy, but, we want them also to get some fresh air. Those things all affect the comfort and security that the room provides for them. And, if you're bringing a baby home from the hospital, you want this beautiful nursery, and you've got all these visuals, that are, and mobiles and things in the room, and a nice rocking chair. Well, we do that in our infant toddler rooms. We create that comfortable nursery for them. Then, as they grow and develop, I often tell people, when you go shopping for infant clothing, how is that arranged on the rack? You have 3 months, then you have 6 months, then you have 9 months, then you have 12 months. The number one thing you have to understand is the development is so rapid, the room has to support those developmental levels too. So that's something that we spend a lot of time discussing. What are you looking to support the child in doing? If you put them on the mat and they're an infant, one of the things you're encouraging them to do is roll over. Then once they're upright, you're encouraging them to explore shelves and find things that are appealing to them. We always talk about cause and effect toys. They love those. We also see adults playing peekaboo because they love that experience too. And everybody giggles when you lift up the whether it is a scarf or something else, and they see that caregiver smiling back at them. That creates a response, and that will keep them. They'll want to play it, as you've probably learned. You start playing peekaboo with a child, they'll want to keep doing it over and over and over, and that's a good thing.
Right.
That's a very nice connection with the child. So yes, it's all of the things that you see and experience, and the child perspective. I kind of think sometimes when you go into an infant toddler room, you shouldn't walk into the room. You should probably crawl into the room to really experience the floor and all the things that they see. It's different than our perspective. Sometimes we create spaces to appeal to adults, and it's not quite as nice for the little ones that are only, a foot or less in height or just barely able to see. And windows that are really high, they provide, the light comes into the room, but we really want to bring nature into the room too, so it'd be really great. And I have centers that I've gone into that have the windows are from floor to ceiling, and that's just fabulous, especially if those windows are looking out at a wooded area with possibly some nature coming in with birds, chirping. We always put bird feeders out so that they can watch, just natural things in the environment. So those things really support the development. Again, that very curious child is being exposed to so many more things. We want to encourage them, and we want to say, "Oh, look, did you see that?" And of course, we always change our voice tone because that also affects children. So all of that is part of the environment and the experience that they have.
Of course, you're talking about this within the context of an early childhood learning environment. But aren't these things applicable? Pardon me, for parents at home too? I mean, in the way they design a child's room and the environment the child has at home.
Absolutely, and I also go into family daycare settings, and I often say that there are some huge advantages to family daycare because they are the home setting. They are that place with a couch where it's easy for an adult to sit and cozy up with a child. sometimes you go into child care settings and they don't have that comfy couch, and we'd like to see more of that because we want that. We want that that easy connecting time, that curling up with a book with a child right there beside you or on your lap is very good for them. And parents that do a lot of that type of thing, I think that the reason why we get concerned about, people say kids are so different today, and I typically say because my major is child development, developmental milestones have remained the same. Environments have changed pretty dramatically. And by environment, I really mean the time and attention given to connecting with children and exposure to the environment outside of even the home. I always say that when I was a kid, and I'm not sure what the ages are here that I'm talking to. I think I know John's about close to my age. But
right.
When we were kids, we used to go outside and we could practically kill ourselves, because we would just jump around and climb up trees, and we were really much more exposed to natural, cause and effect situations, and that really helped us grow in our problem-solving abilities. Now a lot of that is more manufactured, and some children, frankly, are spending a lot more time in front of a television than I ever did as a kid, or you ever did as a kid, probably. And those things are affecting how they learn. And so, and their social development is so important to the way they learn that we have to, really be more intentional about sitting down and having that, true eye-to-eye contact with the child and speaking in that, again, that soft voice. And if children are in daycare for more hours than they're at home, and maybe in the home environment, it's natural for mom and dad to do that because they're in awe of this child that they have. That's where they will get some of it, but they will get a lot of that exposure, to those experiences, that kind of visceral response of an adult to seeing a child do something. The child care provider has to provide that, and they have to be aware of the importance of that. And so that's why when I look at the textbook and the book itself, the room, the furnishings, the adult is extremely important in that, not only facilitating the proper design of the room and the materials in the room, but being very present with the child. One of the quotes I like is, and when we look at what we're doing today in our homes and in our programs, sometimes we've substituted presence, which is spelled P-R-E-S-E-N-C, that presence versus presence with the T-S at the end. We're not as present with the children, but we're giving them things, and we're giving them devices. And, it's really important that we think about how we are affecting them and how that true connection with the child is so vital. How much do families sit around the dinner table? We talk about that a lot, but children, we see it when we see them in a daycare setting as they get older. There are a lot of children that have a lot of trouble sitting at a table. That's not part of their experience. So we have to kind of support them in growing and learning about how to stay and be present in that social interaction at the table. And, the nutrition is important, but the social interaction is very valuable and, again, helps with brain development. So we want to make sure that's happening. It's a busy place, and child care settings for infants can be a ratio of 1 adult to 4 children. And we think about how their time is divided throughout the day. We know that at least every 2 hours, they have to change the infant, probably more than that, depending on what's going on. But if you kind of look at an 8-hour day and 4 children, and you're spending maybe 4 minutes or so changing each diaper, that's kind of 1/8 of your day. You're doing that, and we want to make sure when they're on a changing table that part of that routine and that experience for the child is that adult, talking to them and possibly pointing out a mobile that's above their head and looking at the characters or or things that are up there, or even on the wall, looking at pictures of their family. We want to make sure we're supporting their growth and development in every opportunity, and we have to include our regular routine when we do that. And even being in the car, there's a lot of babies that are traveling quite a distance, even going to and from daycare, so they're not getting to look at another adult or being observed that through those times. So environments have changed, and the demands on families and the distance that some of them are traveling to work. That all impacts how they see the world and how they are exposed to different experiences.
I love how you kind of put your experience and your in talking about the environment, Lydia, as a textbook, and how there are chapters to your textbook. And one of the things I noticed in one of your chapters that you refer to Goldilocks as we go back to our own childhood, and how she searched for what was just right for her. So kind of explain a little bit about how you came up with the Goldilocks analogy.
Well, and again, when I mentioned about how you go in and you see, on the rack when you buy children's clothing, 3 months, 6 months, that developmental period, that will all happen a lot of times in a child care setting. In one room, you'll have the child through many developmental levels, and so the size of things and the shape of things really affect development. So you have to be very intentional about, even the size of, really tiny chairs. We talk about 8 inches off the ground for chairs for children that are, less than a year old, and so that they have that possibility to be able to sit comfortably. So, now you might not have that in your home setting, but there are other, places. And, you'll notice with children, if you have a staircase, they'll perch themselves on the bottom stair. It's so comfortable for them because that's just, if their feet, we always talk about if their feet can touch the ground, that's what we want to see. So they feel very secure that way. So, if you put them in an adult size or mama bear size or papa bear size chairs, it doesn't feel right to them. And it's just right when their feet can touch the ground. So we look very carefully, at the furnishings that way. Now you can be creative with, mats and things that you can provide some. We like the tiered approach and different levels so that they can find that just right spot. Pillows help. You don't always have to spend a lot of money. I was in a daycare center that really didn't have a lot of furnishings and had a combined infant-toddler room. It was a very, very difficult space. We eventually divided the space and used a gate to separate infants and toddlers because developmentally they're so different, and toddlers are moving all the time and not necessarily aware of infants crawling underneath them. So we created a separation. One of the most, the thing that they benefited from the most was when they took a crib mattress, put it on the floor in the corner. And again, those crib mattresses aren't very high, so the infants could easily crawl up, and then the adults were spending more time on that mattress with the infants, and so they'd bring the books, and we put books all around that area. So we provided this cozy place that was comfortable for the adult as well to be more present, and hopefully at a better eye level, because we really feel it's important to look at the infants a lot. So when they crawl up onto your lap and they're looking at you, that's a great connection time, and we want to expose them to more of that. So the furnishings, and that's the important thing too, is the other chapter is, again, how does this feel for the adult? Is the adult going to be comfortable in the space? And I would say maybe that's the last chapter, but that's a very important chapter because, if you're anxious and you don't feel safe in this space, you're probably not going to relax and spend the time playing because you're going to be more I call them policemen, where they just kind of look around the room and make sure everybody's safe all day. If the environment is already safe and an adult comes in there and feels that way, they're going to naturally have more time to just sit and be present with the children. And again, that present and really feeling and experiencing things and responding as they watch the child do things and understanding, he's getting ready to crawl, to crawl, and I'm going to expose him to different things so that I can encourage that next level of development.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, just to the tie-in with Keystone Stars, obviously, which is Pennsylvania's quality rating improvement system, that the expertise that Lydia provides in infant-toddler technical assistance is provided for any child care practitioner that is participating in the Keystone Stars program. And just to remind everyone that Pennsylvania is definitely a pioneer in bringing together various systems that provide services to infant, toddlers, and families through many different models. And it's possible because of the strengths that exist within Pennsylvania's early childhood system, which provide a foundation upon which to build. And because of the commitment of early childhood practitioners who are motivated to improve quality for our youngest children. That's why the Infant-Toddler initiative, of which Lydia is a critical part of, is so important. So we are really very pleased that she is participating in this program. So, is there something that you want to mention, Lydia, regarding where the future is in terms of Pennsylvania, in terms of our infant-toddler initiative?
Well, we expect it to continue to be a focus, basically because we know the importance of the very, very early years. And, what I would just say is my experience so far in doing this work is the teachers really appreciate this support. And there are things, there are other programs that are focused on supporting parents in the home. My focus isn't on child care, but we really make a strong, connection to the home. We try and support the teachers in that, partnering with parents and supporting the overall quality of experiences in and out of the child care settings. So I'm just always, excited about the enthusiasm of the staff. There's a lot to learn. It's a very complex job. People kind of oversimplify what it is, but when you think about, an infant being totally dependent, that teacher has to think about how I do things, because the infant's not kind of telling you what they need. You're exposing them to things based on your knowledge. So we provide a lot of educational support for them, and as the children grow and develop, they become more demanding. But we have to know how to meet those demands.
Absolutely, and of course, we finally, both on the federal level and statewide, obviously, infant-toddler care and the initiative and the expertise is so critical, and we see it moving more and more with our work in that particular age group. But Lydia, our time is up. It's been fascinating. Excellent information as always, and I wanted to thank you so much for being on the program today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, John. Thank you.
And that's our program for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks at this same time. In the meantime, you can go online to learn more at papromiseforchildren.com. For John Posa and the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning, I'm Joe Taylor. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.